Eddie Hearn says that Canelo still wants to fight Billy Joe Saunders, and Triple G wants to fight Camille Sesmeta before they face each other in a trilogy fight. But he explains we could get Canelo Triple G 3 straight away, and it depends on one thing. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. It does help the channel when you guys click on that link. ESPN Plus has a ton of great docuseries and documentaries. Their live broadcasts are, in general been compromised by this quarantine, but they still have a lot of content. Also, Dana White has said that his pay-per-view fight with Tony Ferguson, El Cucuy, and Khabib Nurmagomedov, much anticipated fight, he says he has a venue for it and it's still going to go on. I don't know what his plan is. He's tight-lipped about it, but you should be able to order that if that's what he's saying. And you can get ESPN Plus as a standalone app by clicking the link, or you could get it as a trio: ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus, all three apps. Again, that might help you pass the time during this shutdown and lockdown of our societies and the world at large. All three apps for $12.99, and it does help the channel when you guys click on the link. Now, Eddie Hearn did an interview, and he says, and I quote, Canelo wants to fight Billy Joe Saunders before he fights Golovkin, and Golovkin wants to fight Camille Sesmeta before he fights Canelo. So as long as we come back in June, July, or August, I think we're going to get Canelo against Billy Joe Saunders, and then Canelo against Golovkin at the back end of the year. He goes on to say the danger for Billy Joe Saunders is probably if boxing still doesn't resume until September or October. Then you might have Canelo jump straight into the Triple G fight. Again, I still think the favorite right now is for Canelo to fight Billy Joe Saunders before he fights Golovkin. Listen, all terms were agreed for the Canelo Saunders fight, and we're ready to go. He also went on to say, we were supposed to do a press conference last Tuesday, and obviously Billy Joe Saunders was out in Vegas, and he's come back home now. There will be no press conference for May 2nd because there will be no fight on May 2nd. It's just a case of when we return. If we go June or July, I'm very confident Billy Joe Saunders still gets that Canelo Alvarez fight. I don't think there's going to be a lot of that changes. Where we're at right now is pretty much self-quarantine, and a lockdown is coming, I think. Other than that, an essential trip to the supermarket or something like that, unless the British public completely takes on board what is being said, and I think a huge majority has, then it has to, and I think that'll come this week. So that's the latest. He says the fight was done. They never got around to announcing it, and depending on what happens with this pandemic, that's going to determine what happens next. If Canelo goes straight into a Golovkin, because you guys remember I did, I think, one video about it, because I'm not really even interested in Canelo Triple G 3, to be honest. I'll watch it. I'm a boxing fan, so I watch like Telemundo fights and stuff like that, and lower level fights than that. So I watch anything boxing related, but I'm just saying I don't really get excited of it. Even the Billy Joe Saunders fight, that's not my favorite pick. I would rather see Charlo, Andre, Beterbiev, David Benavidez, Caleb Plant, but at least it's a fresh match compared to the Triple G fight. They've already fought 24 rounds, so there's a lot hanging in the balance. There's a lot of people who don't really know what the next move is, and it's weird what the UK and Eddie Hearn kind of try to do with the whole world was moving in a direction that basically said shut down. It doesn't matter if your economy crashes. This thing is serious. And it was like the UK was still promoting Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce and stuff until I guess the BOXINGEGO said, no, you guys aren't doing no fights in April or May or whatever the situation was. But it's weird. And like even Eddie Hearn in this interview, he's saying the fight with Dillian White and Povetkin is likely terminated, and the Usyk fight Chisora is likely terminated. And I really don't think they can go on. And the weird thing is those fights come before Anthony Joshua versus Pulev. So how does Anthony Joshua versus Pulev definitely get rescheduled if you're not going to have to reschedule the fights that come a month before Joshua fights? Because the first thing that I read was Joshua versus Pulev was now postponed or delayed. So that fight was after both Usyk Chisora and Dillian White versus Povetkin. Those fights were scheduled to take place in May. So that, to me, that makes no sense that Joshua's later date fight would be postponed for sure during this time. But then you're acting like, you know, they were acting like they were still going to host Dillian White and Chisora Usyk. So, you know, it's going to be a major hit for boxing, but it's for the betterment of the world and to slow the curve with this pandemic. You know, I don't really have much to say because I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is, you know, what we're being advised, and the world is now kind of all on board, where you're seeing different places that previously weren't being quarantined and locked down now having to lock down, like UK and Australia, stuff like that. This is really a serious issue, and they're trying to slow it up in the best way they can. So I can't really speculate, and I really feel Eddie Hearn can't either, because this is above the pay grade of anyone in boxing. This is not really a boxing holdup. This is not like a matter of boxing. This is a matter of like world global safety. You see what I'm saying? So all Eddie Hearn can do is speculate of when boxing will be back. But I've heard a whole bunch of conspiracy theories. I've heard a whole bunch of like medical people in the medical field and scientists and, you know, pathologists and all these people who have predicted different things. Some people said this, you know, this could go on for 18 months. So realistically, I don't know, you know, so I don't really have much to add. Eddie Hearn doesn't know, you know, I can tell you that, because none of us really know. This is something, we just have to keep our fingers crossed that there's a breakthrough that matters. But, you know, we'll see. They're saying Canelo and Triple G is the thing. To me, I'm not even really excited about that fight. So that's the least out of all the fights that have been postponed or canceled or whatever the case is. That's the least of my concern. I'm more mad about Dubois, Joe Joyce, you know, seeing Wilder's next move, Errol Spence next move, Teofimo Lomachenko. Those fights are more. You know, I don't know why DAZN is so hell-bent on that particular fight. They really feel, I think it's because they feel HBO did the groundwork and it provided strong numbers. The first two, you know, did over 1 million, both of them. So they think, you know, they're going to have similar success. But the thing is, a lot has changed since HBO, and DAZN is no HBO in general. So, you know, it's just a different circumstance, different set of rules, different timing and all that. Canelo's stock has, to me, dwindled and changed because he became the franchise champion, had lost a bunch of belts, and Golovkin looked very poor in his last fight with Derevyanchenko. It's just, you know, it's just a different fight. You know, one of my real questions is, I know boxing in general, everything is taking a hit, but DAZN is the only business model out of the major ones in boxing that have no linear home. So I feel like they're going to take a hit, and I've said this before, I think they're going to take an even bigger hit, because right now, since this is the CDC and, you know, the BBBFC, all these events are canceled. So how could you justify paying $9.99, which they said last year, even if you were grandfathered in, they said the $9.99 was jumping to $19.99 for everybody. So everyone's going to have a price hike. And somebody just tweeted me this, and they said DAZN charged them for the month, and they actually screenshotted it. It's on my Twitter. They screenshotted it. And, you know, it was a statement from their mobile app, mobile banking. And if everybody jumps up and bumps up to the $20 a month, I feel like DAZN has the weakest amount of back catalog with nothing new if they're not doing any live events. So how do you justify that? How do you justify it? I feel like I think DAZN is going to take a major hit because I really, I've seen the DAZN catalog. There's a good portion of it where DAZN's catalog can be found full fights or highlights or special, supposed to be exclusive programming for their subscribers. They have it on their YouTube for free that everyone can access. It's not like password protected or nothing. It's just something we can all access. Like the Anthony Joshua Ruiz 2 one day, all these like specials, KSI Logan Paul highlights, KSI Logan Paul 40 days docuseries. Plus it's on KSI and Logan Paul's YouTube channel. So it's like at a time like this where there's no boxing and everything's at a standstill, they don't really have a backlog of content to keep them afloat, at least for this time where they're not taking a massive hit. There's nothing going on. People are scared to come outside. So it's not like they could send a whole camera crew and do a Canelo reality show because everything's on standstill. So, this is just a reminder for the world how unprepared we are for moments like this. Nobody expected it. And there's a lot of people who aren't prepared for it. Some worse than others. Some people, they don't have soap, they don't have toilet paper, stuff like that. Now, obviously, human life and these staples and toiletries are going to be more important than, recreational things or sporting events. But as a company, DAZN, they don't have a backlog of stuff to watch. Like everybody's at home. Well, not everybody. Some people still have to go to work, but a lot of people can't go to their jobs, personal trainers and different jobs that are deemed not necessities, right? And they could, if DAZN had a lot of content that was original, that was only found in their app, like Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and stuff, right? Then it would be different. They'd be different because during this quarantine time, people would be able to just say, and veg out and binge watch something. But you can't really do that on DAZN. What are you going to binge watch? Fights that are already on YouTube, darts, stuff like that. So I think DAZN, this really hurts them because they don't have a game plan and process, especially in America, where this makes sense to pay $20 a month. And everybody, even the grandfathered in plans, are going to increase. So how are you going to pay $20 a month and there's no new content, no boxing, no Bellator? So we're just relying on, the previous fights. And I haven't, and the crazy thing is, me personally, I haven't really seen on DAZN, I follow them on social media, I haven't seen them do anything different or aggressive in terms of their marketing to try to make up for it. Like, I'm getting letters from all types of companies and saying, hey, we appreciate your business. Chipotle says, hey, we're doing takeout only and we'll deliver through Postmates for free. They're people and companies are trying different things at least to make up for this time because they're taking huge financial losses. But I literally have not seen, I haven't got any emails from DAZN. I haven't seen anything from DAZN on their social media. They're playing like games and stuff like that. Like Top Rank and ESPN, they made a pay-per-view last month available on ESPN Plus. And ESPN Plus also has Dana White still trying to make the Ferguson Nurmagomedov fight go through some kind of way. You see what I'm saying? So I'm really curious to see what DAZN's answer is going to be, because we're all going to have to pick up the pieces when this is all over. And I feel like some people are going to be even more behind. Like I said, you look at PBC, they got dealings with Showtime and Fox. Showtime has other shows that they show, TV shows that have already have episodes recorded, or Ray Donovan rerun. They have stuff that they can put in place of their live events not taking place right now. It's not like Showtime. Remember that screen Back in the day, you watch an old movie in the back of the day after 12, the screen, midnight, the screen would go to that broadcast screen, you know, with the noise. It's not like that. So Showtime has stuff, Fox has stuff, ESPN Plus just put Deontay Wilder 1 and 2. They showed ESPN on ESPN, both of those fights, and it's on ESPN Plus. They got the Kevin Lee fight and, you know, backlog of recent fights, stuff like that. I just feel like DAZN, you know, they got to step it up. I'm curious to see what their answer is going to be for $20 a month, and we have no live events, no new content in all of our events, including Dillian White. I really don't understand why the UK is acting like it's not canceled. I'm like, why has Eddie Hearn not pulled the plug on Dillian White, Povetkin, and Usyk Chisora? It's like they're holding out and holding hope, but, you know, it doesn't really look like it. The other thing is it's kind of unfair for the fighters as well, because you don't even really have time. How are you going to spar? If you're fighting in May and nobody's supposed to go, like, can you send and get the proper nutritional things from the store right now because things are depleted? Can you get a full camp and sparring partners and people? Like, people are worried for their lives, and some of these boxers and stuff, they don't have Anthony Joshua, Canelo, Mayweather money. You know what I'm saying? So they're wondering what they're gonna do because fighting is their job. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like people's camps are gonna be messed up to try to fight in May anyway, even if this ban gets removed. You see what I'm saying? Because what are you gonna have, a 4 or 5 week camp? You know, it's just a crazy time right now. We'll see how it pans out. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We work.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.